Plaintiff Richard Lancaster is suing his ex-girlfriend, Kelly Degani, for an unpaid loan. Richard says after he met Kelly, he thought there was potential for a long-term relationship. But Kelly says she was creeped out when the plaintiff left a 4-foot teddy bear on her doorstep.
All right, Richard Lancaster is suing his ex-girlfriend for an unpaid loan, Kelly Degani. All right, Richard, how did you meet your ex-girlfriend?
I met Kelly through a website called Plenty of Fish.
Called what?
Plentyoffish.com. It's a dating website. It's free.
I never heard of that.
It's like Match.com, Yahoo Personal.
Well, I've heard of Match.com. I never heard Plenty of Fish?
Yeah.
Who's the fish?
Well,
the men or the women?
I don't know, Your Honor.
I never heard of that one, Jimmy. Me neither. Plenty of Fish. Okay. You met on Plenty of Fish? What were you doing on Plenty of Fish?
I had just gotten divorced, and it was a way to try to meet somebody.
Okay, so you met. What happened?
We talked for about a week, and we decided to meet each other day after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. My first impression of Kelly, she's attractive. She had a great smile. I mean, she was unbelievable. We spent the weekend together.
The first weekend?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, people move fast today, you know that?
I'm 38, Your Honor.
Yeah. You got a lot more years, let me tell you. It's not ending that soon. Okay, go ahead.
We had a great time, and I thought there would be a potential relationship. I guess.
What happened?
First of all, Your Honor, he was never my boyfriend. We had gone out a few times.
What about the first weekend?
That was 2 of the few times that we had gone out.
Okay. So you go out. What happens?
We had a good time. However, right after our first date, he had given me this huge, like 4-foot teddy bear, put it out on my doorstep with a dozen roses and a card telling me how much he loved me. I have
was that after the weekend?
Yes.
Well, that was very nice. Let me see.
Creepy? This bear is huge. It's bigger than my 8-year-old daughter. It's on a lazy boy recliner, and the other one is on a queen-size bed.
So, okay, so he gave you a teddy bear. He was thanking you.
Right, but it's just showing that he was immediately obsessed with me from the beginning.
You were kind of obsessed with him. You spent the weekend with him.
No, from the beginning I told him I didn't want an instant relationship.
Oh, okay. All right.
That it was just going to be casual from the beginning.
Plaintiff Richard Lancaster is suing his ex-girlfriend for an unpaid loan.
Go ahead.
The day after Christmas, I spoken with Kelly. She had a different attitude, meaning she wasn't herself. I asked her what was wrong. She tends to tell me she was financially in debt. Mm-hmm. She tells me she couldn't pay her rent or her child care. So I asked her, can I help you? And she says, well, it's a little bit too much. I'm like, well, what's a little bit too much? And she intended to tell me it was $1,200. And I told her that I would loan it to her.
Is that how it happened?
Actually, no, he did offer to give me the money, but there was no discussion of a loan. I would have never been able to pay him back. I knew that from the beginning. So it was never a loan. It was, he gave me the money.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't you just tell me it was kind of creepy that the guy gave you a teddy bear? You didn't like it. You thought it was weird. And now he wants to give you don't interrupt me. Sorry. And now he wants to give you $1,200 and you're taking it? That's not weird or creepy?
Well, actually, he had backed off after I told him about the bear being a little weird, that he did so much, he needed to back off, and we needed to just take it day by day, and we did that.
Okay.
And the relationship did back off. And
did you tell him that you were having financial troubles, Kelly?
Yes, because he asked me what was wrong.
What was bothering you? So you
Right.
were acting differently.
Right.
Right. Okay. And were you working at the time?
Yes, I had been unemployed for a couple of months. Mm-hmm. I lost my job because my father had a stroke, and my employer fired me because I wanted to go see my father in the hospital. And it did take me a couple months to get another job, and I was at the point where I had been...
You needed money.
Right, I was behind.
So why'd you mention it to him?
He asked me what was the matter.
Okay.
So I told him.
You told him.
And he offered to give me the money to help me out.
And so do you say to her, you know, what do you say? I don't want to put words in your mouth. She needs $1,200, you're going to offer it to her. Then what?
I asked her I was going to loan it to her. I still like Kelly. I still wanted to go on with the
relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew Kelly was a busy person. I mean, she has her daughter half the time, and I knew she didn't want to bring a guy in her life. I know she has friends that she likes to go out, so I was okay with a few days here and there. The next day we were talking about New Year's. She's telling me, well, my girlfriend is her husband was going out of town, so we're going to make it a girl thing. So I thought that was kind of weird. So I got mad. I got pissed off. So I decided to go a different route. Well, then Saturday she calls me up, says, well, I got a couple hours on New Year's. We can hang out then.
So you settled for that?
Well, then when New Year's came around, I didn't show up. So I was getting phone calls and
From who? From Kelly?
From Kelly. And I was getting text messaging saying, I knew you were going to do this to me. You're like any other guy. And then it came to, I'll get a second job if it's the money. I'll get a second job to pay you back.
Have you given her the money at this point?
Not yet.
So she's still looking for the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
That is not accurate, no.
Tell me.
New Year's, he was angry because I decided that I was going to do a girlfriend thing, which I did do. And he and I had discussed that New Year's Eve we wouldn't spend together, but we would get together on New Year's Day. Well, then New Year's Day rolls around, and that's when he had promised to give me the money.
So he doesn't show up with the money?
He doesn't show up, and my phone calls were, I needed to know one way or the other because I had already committed to paying the daycare and my rent on that day. I said, okay, I have somebody that's giving me some money. I'll be able to pay you on this day. So I needed to know one way or the other what was going on so I could figure out where I was going to go from there.
Well, let me ask you this, Kelly. If he didn't come through with the money, the people that you had promised you were going to pay would not have been paid, but then where would you have gone to get money?
I would have made some kind of arrangement with them.
What happens next?
That night I called her and said, I will be at your job and I'll give you a check. Okay.
And what are the circumstances? Tell me. What is said at this time?
Well, it was kind of quick. I mean, we were both working, so it was kind of quick.
You give her a check?
Yes, I gave her a check.
Do you have a copy of it? He gave you the check?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, 3 weeks later, I called Miss Dugani and asked her about it, and she tended to tell me that I have medical issues. I can't worry about the money right now. I don't even know if I have a job. Because I asked her about the second job, too, that she text messaged me.
When you have this conversation, did you say to her, when you gave her the check, I'd like to be paid back by such and such a date?
No, Your Honor. No.
When did you think you were getting the money back?
Well, I would figure that she would kind of, anything, attempt to help pay back would make me happy.
All right, you cast the check, then what? You're very grateful. Now you got your child care paid for, you got your rent paid for.
And he was like, don't worry about it. I love you. I don't want you to worry or stress about anything. I never did offer to get a second job because part of our problem was I am incredibly busy with being a single mother and working full time that, I didn't have enough time for him. How was I going to have enough time for a part-time job?
Okay.
So that was part of our issue, that he wanted to spend more time with me and I just didn't have it to give.
Did you feel any obligation at all to pay him back?
No, I actually didn't think that was going to be the last time I saw him. He stopped calling. I lost my phone, so I lost his phone number. And I didn't hear back from him again until, I believe, February.
You didn't know where he worked?
Where he worked?
Yeah.
I know he works for a copier company, and he had just switched jobs. I wasn't sure which copier company he worked for.
Did she not know your number or where you lived or your job?
She had my email address. She had my MySpace account. She had my address.
Closed those accounts.
Defendant Kelly Dugani says she only went out with Richard a couple of times and never wanted a serious relationship with him.
Why would he give you a gift of $1,200?
Why would he spend $600, over $600 on me for Christmas when he had just known me a month?
Because he liked you.
He loved me. He was obsessed with me from the beginning.
So you took advantage of that obsession.
No, ma'am.
And took $1,200.
No, not Your Honor. No, I didn't. I didn't think that that was going to be the last time I saw him. I thought we were going to
What were you going to do?
continue
Pay
to
it off? Well, what do you mean? The last time you saw him?
The day that he had given me the check, I didn't believe that that was, if I had intended on just using him and taking the money, then yes, that would have been the last time in my head that I was going to see him, but that's not
When's the next
case.
time you called her after you gave her the check?
About 3 weeks after.
And what was the conversation?
What I just told you, like, I asked her about the check, and she says, well, I can't worry about the money.
Okay, next conversation.
Well, I haven't heard from her.
That's
3
it.
months,
That's the last one.
That's it. 3 months later, this is...
Okay.
I wrote her an email telling her if I don't hear from her, then I'm going to follow suit.
Okay. This is, do you have anything you want to say?
No, Your Honor.
You don't feel any obligation to pay him?
I don't. He gave it to me, and he made it clear throughout all of our conversations. Don't worry about it. I don't want you to stress about anything.
Was that
Don't worry about
bravado?
it.
Don't worry about it. I'll give you the loan. I'll give you the money. You know, you've got a kid. You've got, problems with your father and all the other stuff going on in your life. Is it a guy just saying, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it? Or is it a guy saying, don't worry about it, you don't have to pay me back, I'm giving you free money?
Right, that's what he was saying.
That's the way you saw it. You know what? I got to tell you. If he loaned you the money with the agreement that you would repay it, then that would be very easy. What the court has to do now is try to determine whether or not the circumstances surrounding the movement of money, that check of $1,200 from the plaintiff to the defendant, lends credibility to the argument that it was a loan. I truly believe that the money was given as a loan. He may have been a generous guy, but at the end of the day, even though there is no agreement here, he alleges that there is a verbal agreement. As far as I'm concerned, I believe the money was a loan. You have an obligation to pay it back. That's the end of it. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.